Hey guys. Tonight, let's dim the lights, maybe pour something warm, and take a slow ride, upward or maybe downward, to a floor that technically doesn't exist. Don't worry, we're not going far, just a few stories above the city's heartbeat, where the hum of the elevator turns into something like a sigh. We begin in a building that was never quite sure what it wanted to be. Part office tower, part luxury apartment block, part empty shell of ambitions that didn't quite work out. It stands on a quiet street in Dhaka. Or maybe in any modern city, really. The kind of street where everything feels new, but already slightly worn. You know the look. Gray glass that smudges, a lobby that smells faintly of lemon disinfectant, and a security guard who always seems to be half asleep, half watching something on his phone. This particular building is called Silver Line Heights, a name so optimistic you already know it's lying. There's nothing silver about it, except the dust on the steel handrails, and nothing that resembles heights, except the rent. But what it does have, and what most residents eventually whisper about, is an elevator that occasionally stops at a floor that doesn't exist on the map. A floor that the developers swore was never built. And of course, everyone says it's just a glitch. Because it's always just a glitch. Until it isn't. The story usually begins with Nadia. Late 20s, architect, newly moved in. You know the type. Careful, modern, loves indoor plants, but kills all of them. She got a discounted lease on the 12th floor, overlooking nothing much, just another glass wall across the street. She moved in with boxes of books, her laptop, and the vague hope that high-rises meant adulthood. The building seemed ordinary enough. A little too quiet, maybe, especially at night. The hum of the air conditioning was the only heartbeat. The elevator dinged too slowly, as if it had to think about whether it wanted to open or not. The first few weeks were uneventful. Emails, deadlines, takeout food, until one late evening, around midnight, she came back from work, too tired to notice much. She pressed the button for her floor, 12, leaned against the metal rail, and let her mind float. That's when the elevator shuddered, just slightly, and the panel flickered. The number 12 dimmed, then changed to 13, which shouldn't have been possible, since there was no 13th floor. Now, every building handles superstition differently. Some skip 13 entirely, some label it 12A to pretend they're smarter than ghosts. Silver Line Heights just omitted it. The directory jumped straight from 12 to 14. Nadia thought maybe she pressed the wrong button. Maybe her eyes were playing tricks. The lights hummed overhead. Then, with a slow metallic sigh, the elevator doors opened. Not on her familiar hallway, but onto something else. The floor was dim, carpetless. Bare concrete stretched ahead, dust and old footprints like stains in time. The walls were unpainted, the ceiling wires exposed. The air smelled faintly of wet plaster, though no construction had happened in years. For a moment, she stood there blinking into the silence. It wasn't just an unfinished floor. It was wrong. In that quiet way you feel when a place forgets how to exist properly. Then, without her pressing anything, the doors closed again. The elevator jolted, descended, and opened neatly on 12. Everything perfectly normal, as if nothing had happened. She told herself it was fatigue, or a sensor malfunction, or maybe the elevator simply paused between floors and displayed an incorrect number. But when she asked the building's night guard about it, he gave her a look, the kind that sits halfway between confusion and discomfort. 13? No, ma'am. No such floor here. Must be some wiring issue. Happens sometimes. And then, with that classic South Asian politeness, he smiled in a way that politely ended the conversation. Days passed. Life resumed its slow rhythm. Emails, coffee, small deadlines that felt bigger than they should. But sometimes, in the stillness of late night, Nadia would hear the elevator move, softly, even though no one had called it. Just a slow slide upward, a ding, and the faintest metallic echo. Once, she thought she heard it stop right above her floor, and then nothing. When she checked the security camera footage the next morning, the guard shrugged again. "Ma'am, it was empty. Maybe system test." It's strange how easily humans get used to the slightly impossible. For a while, she even forgot. Until one night during a rainstorm, the elevator insisted again. She pressed 12, and it rose. Calm, mechanical, until the flicker returned. The display changed to 13 just for a moment, then froze. When the elevator doors opened this time, she saw something different. The same concrete floor, yes, but faintly lit now. A few old office chairs stacked in a corner, as if someone had once planned to furnish the space and never returned. She almost stepped forward, curious, but then noticed something in the dust. Footprints. A trail of them, leading from the elevator into the far darkness. Bare footprints. Small. Delicate. Almost childlike. The kind of detail your mind desperately wants to rationalize. She didn't. She pressed closed door faster than she thought possible. Her reflection in the elevator mirror paled and unreal. Back in her apartment, she poured herself a glass of water and decided not to think about it. Over the next few weeks, the building continued its quiet routine. People came and went. A neighbor down the hall moved out abruptly, leaving their door sealed with yellow tape and a note that said, "Under maintenance." The management offered no explanation. But then again, no one really asked. Urban life trains you to ignore things that don't concern you. It's a form of self-defense. But Nadia began noticing small details that chipped away at normalcy. Sometimes the elevator panel showed scratches, faint marks, like someone had tried to carve letters into the metal. She couldn't make out the full words, only fragments, S-T-E-R-E, or H-E-L-P. Other times, she'd find dusty handprints on the mirror, too small to be hers, too faint to be recent. And yet, every morning, the elevator looked newly polished, as if the building itself was trying to erase its memories. Let's float for a moment. Step back from the story. Breathe. Because every haunted place, modern or medieval, follows the same logic. It's never about the ghost. It's about the residue of something unfinished. Old castles have corridors of regret. New apartments have elevators that lead to nowhere. Different technology, same loneliness. Now, around the third month of her lease, Nadia met an older tenant, Mr. Rahman, who lived on the 10th floor, retired engineer. The kind of man who collects small facts about buildings like other people collect souvenirs. Over tea, she casually mentioned the elevator. His reaction was subtle. A pause. A small tightening around his eyes, like an old memory brushing against him. "He said they were going to build 13, he murmured. The plans had it. Office space, small conference rooms. But something happened during construction. A worker fell. Died instantly, I think. They sealed the floor afterward. Pretended it never existed. Of course, ghosts aren't real. But elevators remember everything." That night, Nadia dreamed of gray walls. And in the dream, she was standing in that unfinished hallway again, barefoot, dust cold under her feet. There was a faint humming, like the sound of an elevator trying to move, but stuck between levels. She woke to find her phone screen blinking. The clock read 3:13 a.m. After that, she stopped taking the elevator alone. For a while, she used the stairs, convincing herself it was healthier anyway. But it's funny how fear loses its edge when it becomes routine. Eventually, she got used to it again. The elevator rides became mundane, the strange number a memory blurred by stress and city noise. Until one evening, she found a small object lying in the corner of the elevator,